Welcome to the Smooth Force podcast. I am Lamar, your host, and I have the honor to introduce Adrian Ochoa to the podcast. How you doing, Adrian?
I am doing well, Lamar. Thank you for having me. It is a true honor, and I look forward to having a nice conversation with you today.
Nice, nice. I appreciate you being on a podcast. Let me tell the audience who Mr. Adrian Ochoa is. So he's a healthcare professional with over 15 years specializing in chronic care management of the frail elderly population. He is married with two boys, a 9 and 4-year-old. He is a plant-based eater. Okay, that's something that's really popular right now, and perhaps if we have time, we can kind of venture into that topic. And he uses the Whoop uh, to analyze his key performance metrics. So I'm going to have to ask you what you mean by that. So let me start off with what is the Whoop? Is that the
Sure.
Whoop method? What is that?
No, this is well, this is a band. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's a fitness performance band. It tracks like all of your heart
Before
rate
before you before you
variability.
continue, that just means I'm outdated because I had no clue what it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was a metaphor for something. Okay.
Yeah. Whoop is a performance tracker. So it is probably one of the better ones that I've. I mean, everybody has like a iWatch or a Garmin watch, but the beauty about this one, and I think one of the more important things that I like about it, is that it's very comfortable and I don't really feel it when I'm sleeping. And that's one of
Okay.
the things that I try to focus on predominantly is getting that rest and recovery and
Mm,
perform, your physical, top of your physical capacity. You have to make sure that you're one, hydrated, two, have great rest. And I found that wearing a watch to sleep didn't really, it wasn't comfortable for me. I just felt it on my wrist, and the Whoop is something
mm-hmm.
that I've been using now for a little over 2 years, and it has great metrics. It gives you monthly, weekly, yearly statistics in terms of how you're performing. I think does a great job at graphing out your metrics, and I think that just incorporating something like that into training is always beneficial. And that we live in
Okay.
a world now that it's knowing your numbers is fascinating. Sometimes it could impact your ability to analysis paralysis, but for the most part, I've learned to use it in a way that helps me just make sure that I'm mindful of when to give a little bit more rest and when I can really push.
Nice, nice, nice. Something I should look into. I'm the old fashioned guy. I just get outside, I go running or I just go swimming and however I feel is how I feel. I guess I
Yeah.
can embrace technology a little bit more. So perhaps that'll be my next step, my
Yeah,
next
I mean,
venture.
it's definitely kudos to you, right? Understanding where your heart rate is, how you're feeling, where your breath work, how to relax yourself when you feel like your heart rate is too high. It comes naturally for some, and for others it doesn't, right? I think for me that when I got into fitness, that was one of the things that I had to learn is just really understand, where that zone training, your heart rate
Hmm.
training, how do you run? If you want to run stronger, longer, you have to make sure that your heart rate is at that, a pretty decent level, so you're not sitting there blowing your heart up. But yeah, it's definitely a good tool. But much power to you as well for doing it the old natural way.
Yeah, I'm just old fashioned. It's just I haven't gotten to that level yet. But carrying on to your statement right there, it kind of lead me into what got you into fitness, okay?
Sure.
And how important is living a healthy fitness lifestyle to you?
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, fitness. As you know, growing up, we were outside, right? So we were
Mm-hmm.
outside playing soccer. We were outside. I mean, it was yeah, video games were a big part, but for the most
Mm-hmm.
part, we were outside running around, staying active. Brings a lot of vitality to your day. As
Yes.
I got into my career, I focused in healthcare startups. So it was a very demanding, super long hours. I used to commute
Mm-hmm.
into the city. It was, every day was 10 hours, right? And then finding time to the gym was challenging. I started by just doing like New York Sports Club is right downstairs from my office, and so
Okay.
was doing the chest and tries and back and buys and the standard
Hmm.
just global fitness standard of I guess is what you do.
Hmm.
Really didn't take to that in terms of like what I mean by take to it like the routine, right? That sort of
Okay.
consistency was very challenging for me because I didn't love I didn't love
Mm.
going to the gym to fit into
Okay.
that sort of I would say bodybuilding type of routine. And so I was inconsistent. I would go to the gym for 2 months at a time, typically getting ready for summer. But
Hmm.
I wasn't really consistent with it. Would fall off for 4 to 6 months at a time. And then what really changed is the people around me. Was fortunate enough to live in a little condo co-op unit where my neighbors went into it. I
Okay.
went in on a Groupon and jumped into a class. I would say probably that was the first and last class that I had in CrossFit for a period of about 4 months after that because, you go in and you're like hype and you're about to be
Hmm.
Batman. You jump in and you start doing
Yeah.
deadlifts and you just kind of overexert yourself. And I
Hmm.
remember vividly the following day trying to get up the stairs of the subway. I'm like, oh man, this isn't for me,
You
right?
felt it. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel it, you get it, your lower back is hurting, your hamstrings are hurting. And I was just like, yeah, the CrossFit's not for me. But, encouragement from them, having, sort of them being neighbors and understanding sort of the dynamic of it is all taking time, right? Understanding that you have to put in the time, put in the work,
Hmm.
committed, it was called CrossFit Sport Tester. It was literally a
Okay.
walking distance from my house, right? So if I'm making a recommendation to anyone out there that wants to get into fitness, find something that you can walk to. Right? There's got to be a
That's true.
gym somewhere that's like 5 minutes, a 10-minute drive. More than that, and it's going to be challenging, right? So the first key for me to finding that fitness is that I could literally put my gym clothes on and walk 5 minutes down the street, and I'm there, right? So that
Mm.
really encouraged me to just be consistent. And then after that, it was the right trainer, right? I had a phenomenal CrossFit trainer that at CrossFit Port Tester who really invested in my potential. And, he recognized that there was, potential in me physically. And so
Hmm.
he trained me with very specific, form, taking my time. Definitely wasn't pushing weight. I was really
Hmm.
working and starting with a CDC pipe, then the barbell in its own, and
Okay.
really learning how to like do the movements, and that really helped because it allowed me to really start enjoying the workout instead of feeling sore and uncomfortable with the workout. CrossFit
Hmm.
was a starter for me. I know that a lot of people find it to be a little challenging, but I loved the sort of multidiscipline aspect. A little, you know, um, gymnastics, Olympic weightlifting. There was
It
cardio
does.
involved with it. I like that mix of training, and that's what really got me hooked on fitness.
I like that. I like that. And one thing that you said, which is also something I like to follow, is a gym has to be within a reasonable distance to me. And
Mm-hmm.
I love going to the gym. I actually enjoy going to the gym and working out, but I'm not going to drive unless there's an event. I don't want to drive even 15 minutes to get to my gym. So if I live in one city, if my gym is not in my city or within a 10-minute drive, perhaps, I don't have the interest to go. I want to be able to walk to my gym, get there quickly, spend whatever time. I don't want to spend too much time in the car. That's going to take away from my time that I can
Mm-hmm.
spend, in the gym. So that's a big point right there. And you mentioned CrossFit. And I never done CrossFit. Okay. I know some CrossFitters who are in phenomenal shape. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They train hard. As you mentioned, they have gymnastics involved in it. They have every aspect of swimming is included in CrossFit. But even with that, and I don't, I know a little bit why, but I'm gonna ask you why. Why do you guys get such a bad rap? Why do powerlifters and everyone else always have something to say about CrossFitters? Like, what do you think?
I mean, I think there is the mentality of CrossFit as a brand. There is the theory of like continuous training, hit training, the style of workout that most CrossFit workouts are.
Okay.
The CrossFit brand has changed a significant amount. Evolution of the actual CrossFit programming, as you mentioned, now started involving more running and swimming, right? So I still firmly believe that that sort of continuous training style where you're running like Metcons, AMRAPs, like they've created a bunch of acronyms for, you're continuously cycling a workout, whether it be HIIT workout or Olympic lifting or, gymnastics
Mm-hmm.
through your workout. I think where it gets a bad rap is speed over form. It was really something that became a predominant in CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
being able to quickly cycle through, Olympic lifts or, run through a set of 12 heavy deadlifts and then go run, right? A lot of what that did was that it compromised the individual athlete's ability to focus on their form. I mean, you can do those reps, but if you're
Mm-hmm.
compromising your form, if you are rounding your back on that deadlift, if you're not
Mm-hmm.
mindful about consistently having that form intact when you're tired, then yes, I mean, you could see videos all over the internet of CrossFitters just injuring themselves and really creating a circus out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, I mean, I enjoy that level of intensity and that level of drive in terms of like
Okay.
that time cap, in terms of that like type of workout. But you do have to have good coaching. There has to be the ability for that coach to approach and say, hey, take a minute, whether it's before or after that workout, really hammering in, maintain that form. If and when you get tired, go down and wait. That is
Mm-hmm.
not at all, you have to be mindful of it. And there's nothing wrong with reducing your weight to be able to do the form the way that it's supposed to. And I feel like that is what is really the biggest criticism of CrossFit is really having the ability to maintain that level of quality in the workout.
Yeah, and I think that's well explained, and I think that is the reason people get that they get that negative rap, and also, and I'm not gonna say you're guilty of it, since
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that. Okay, let me put it this way. Uh, I see CrossFitters and the speed pull up. The speed pull up
Mm-hmm.
is something that I see I people criticize often. But in your defense, you did the 300 workout and you did 25 pull-ups, strict
Mm-hmm.
form. I'm talking about pull up, full extension, uh, to the full pull up to the chest, not just to the chin, to the chest, full extension and back up, and you did 25 reps. So it doesn't say you can't do it. I'm pretty sure there's a benefit in doing the speed exercise, the speed movements, and you proven in one of your videos that you can do it with a proper form
Mm-hmm.
and perfect form. But I'm sure there's a benefit in doing everything and keeping the heart rate up and so on. So as I mentioned, some of the most fit folks who I know are CrossFitters. So I don't really have anything negative to say about CrossFitting. I don't know if I'm ready for it. I don't know if it's really my interest, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely good. Uh leading
You have
leading
to
leading
try it for sure.
I
You have
I,
to
I
give it a
should.
go.
I should. I should.
At
Someone else
least
tried to
one or
convince you
two
to do it.
workouts, you have to get that little variability in that training.
Yeah, I should. It's possible. I still have time. I may definitely
Get your
do it.
heart rate up, man.
That's important. That's how you burn the fat. So I'm
That's
on
right.
board. I'm on board with that. I looked at your page, your Instagram page, and
Sure.
I want to say that I saw your page and you look like you're a retired Navy SEAL. You know, your workouts are intense. You're just
The baldy
dedicated.
and
You
the
just
tattoos, bro.
the tattoos is part of it.
Yeah, right.
The
The
tattoos.
tattoos and the bald head.
There you go. You look like you're a retired Navy SEAL. You're in a special forces or something. You're doing some intense training. You actually did two intense excursions,
Hmm.
intense. You did the BWR and the HPLT, so the high performance lifestyle training, which really, to me, it looks like Navy SEAL training. You know, I'm not a military person, but from the outside, it looks like it's Navy SEAL training.
Hmm.
So if you can talk a little bit about that and your
Yeah.
experience doing that.
Yeah. So the high performance lifestyle training was something that the same neighbor that got me into CrossFit, she started participating in a community of high performing, athletes. And during COVID, it was it was a training class, with everything fitness, put on a 30-day challenge during COVID where it was every day you're doing a workout. And at the end of the challenge, you have a mask. And I would tell you,
Wow.
Lamar, that I would never sign up just simply because running was not my forte, not something that I
Okay.
was really interested in. But you didn't know you were going to run half marathon. You were just doing workouts. Yes, it did include
Mm-hmm.
running, but everybody was doing COVID, right? So
True.
that training really cemented in me that there's two things that I took away, right? That one, people can go to the gym, you can work out, you can exercise, and that's perfectly fine, right? You're gonna do well if you're consistent. You're gonna have that training, and your body's gonna start to transform, and you'll pick up good habits. But there is a
Mm-hmm.
difference between having an exercise routine and actually training for something.
Okay.
That is one of the lessons learned. Is that I learned that through the workouts that we were doing, we were training to get to that ton, whether we knew it or not. And then I did. I ran that marathon, which is at 13.1 miles, and
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised myself because I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. Right, and so that's how the HCLT uh, sort of experience started, and now they put on summits. They have getaways across the nation, and
Okay.
it is sort of a destination for like-minded individuals,
Mm-hmm.
predominantly individuals that are athletes and training and really into fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Get them together. They have keynote speakers. They have specific individuals that are programming the trainings. Love everything they do by way of curation of the event. Like they did have a Navy SEAL raycast that actually programmed this Navy SEAL training. Hardest thing I've
Nice.
ever done. I've done a bunch of things that was
Mm-hmm.
really challenging because it was in May. We were supposed to be warm. It was in Montauk. It was 5 a.m. It was
Mm-hmm.
cold, like really
Mm.
cold, like
Yeah.
shivering cold. And you're running through that Navy training. But a lot of what that community is that sort of bond with other like-minded individuals. So we were out there,
Nice.
we were all pulled together, we
Mm-hmm.
were all suffering together, and endured that as a collective. And that really pushes you, right? It pushes you to be a better you. It made me a better person. We had that be one of the days. It was, a weekend full of events. Whereas you do the workout in the morning, they have keynote speakers
Mm-hmm.
that really, orient you to different sort of topics related to fitness, rest, health,
Okay.
nutrition. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that go that are in the fitness space. So you get to learn a
Mm-hmm.
ton about, their experience and how their approach to business. But
Nice.
yeah, every day was a great workout. Every day was a good, suffer fest with the
Self-professed.
collective. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we did the Navy SEAL training. We did a Murph workout where we did, a rucksack, a mile run, some pull-ups, push-ups, air squats, followed by a run, and then we also did like a 12-mile run that weekend. So it was a weekend full of fitness, but I really enjoyed it. Really recommend it to anyone that's in the fitness space to check out HPLC training.
Nice, nice. It definitely looks interesting. It definitely looks interesting. Anyone who,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, never entered the military or went through boot camp and perhaps wants to get a feel for what it's like, I kind of assume that based on what it appears to be, it appears to be that boot camp style.
Yeah,
So I think
it's
someone,
resilience training. It's a variable, curated fitness event. It could be that sort of boot camp Navy SEAL training, or it
hmm
could be,
hmm
very high intensity hit work, right? So
yeah,
they do a great job at keeping it, mixing it up and getting everybody to kind of show off their strengths, because there's runners in that
nice.
group, there's triathletes in that group, there's, crossfitters, powerlifters, mental
hmm
training, so everyone brings a little bit of a different training style and mix, and they do a good job at, like, catering to everybody's, little strengths, and making that
Nice,
a
nice.
well-rounded workout.
Nice. It sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Sounds like a nice experience. Another excursion you did is the BWR. I'm
Yeah,
not
that
sure
was
what that stands for, but
insane.
yeah, how
Yeah,
was
so
that?
that's the Belgian waffle race that
Okay.
is in Asheville, North Carolina. It
Nice.
is a lot of folks have been recently getting into cycling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So road cycling, I picked that up as well a little bit after COVID. Same group of friends is a phenomenal triathlete and got me involved in just getting out there doing my first half triathlon. Was
Okay.
doing a bunch of cycling, got into gravel cycling, which is a really cool blend because I love mountain biking. We used to mountain bike when we were kids in New Rochelle, going to like nature studies, hitting the
Yes,
trails, right?
yes,
Hudson,
yes.
we lived in a wonderful mix of city and, out in the trails. So, love the mountain biking, liked cycling overall, but this Belgian waffle race is gravel racing. So it
Mm-hmm.
was 131 miles of gravel, like mountain bike trail slash like road.
Okay.
And we were out there for a weekend. It was supposed to be 131 miles. I got to 100 miles out of that. I think it was like 101 miles out of that 131.
Okay.
Lamar was the hardest thing I've ever done from the perspective of single track mountain bike trails, very
Mm-hmm.
technical,
Mm-hmm.
climbing like 10,000 feet of elevation, and you have to do it all by like certain time frame.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
at that point, I've been out there probably like 8 hours cycling, and it was a phenomenal experience. I mean, that's one of the things that I
Nice.
like to do. I like to try hard things. You're training every day. You need to push your, sort of boundaries a little bit. The Belgian waffle race, half triathlons, even half marathons, still pretty challenging for me.
Mm-hmm.
Still learning how to kind of do the more endurance style training, but it's all enjoyable. It all pushes, your ability to see what your body can do.
And that's what it's about. I did a 50-mile race once. I did a 50-mile road race
Okay.
uh in Hudson Valley on a gravel bike, but it was paved roads, a lot of hills,
Hmm.
relatively high elevation, but it's paved roads. And I finished it. It wasn't easy. I did finish it, but a lot of people, it was hot that day. A lot of people were passing out or just getting dehydrated, cramping up. And that's 50 miles. So I'm also saying this just for the audience can really appreciate how much work and how intense what you did was, because on a paved road, on a road bike, a street bike, individuals were passing out, cramping out, and not completing 50 miles. Now you did 100 miles on a trail, single track, which is, for people who don't know, that's a narrow, basically just wide enough for a bike to get through, or and walkers perhaps,
Hmm.
and that's pretty intense. That's actually extremely intense. So I take my hat off to you at even completing that much. 100 miles is a lot.
Hey
So
man, you give it a hundred percent, right? And you get out there and you experience new things. So yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. Encouraging everybody to get out there, get into some level of physical activity. It doesn't necessarily
yes,
have to be weightlifting. It doesn't necessarily have to be running. It could be cycling, there's swimming, right? There's a lot of different variations of getting your work on.
yes, yes. That's important. It's all about staying healthy, staying active,
Hmm.
and fitness should be a family activity. I did not mention this in your intro, but you actually work out with your wife. You do activities with your wife. And
Yeah,
that is
it's a
it's
great
a
way
family
to,
activity.
yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to like get everybody involved, right? I think what we know is that we just really want to do it together, right? We
Yes.
understand that as adults, it's all about time management. We know that, one out of every two adults don't get enough, exercise, aerobic activity. So
Mm-hmm.
after dinner, we like to go out and have a walk, right? And our kids are
Good.
used to walking 2.5 miles, right? We'll take bike rides with our kids, and my 9-year-old is always challenging himself for how long he can ride his bike. He's up to 14 miles, right?
Oh,
So
nice. Nice.
yeah, he really loves the for those that are local to New York around our area, the Bronx River Trail when it closes, it's a fantastic little ride for the kids. So just get out there and be on their bikes. But yeah, we take a lunchtime jog. We do yoga together. She is
Okay,
a very
nice.
big, an avid fan of yoga, which is great.
Nice.
It's good to get your mobility on. But I encourage all couples. If you're looking for something to do, it's great. And to go to the bar and grab a drink. It's great to go and have dinner. But scheduling something like a nice fitness excursion is equally as
Yes.
fun and equally as
Yes.
enriching for your relationships.
I agree 100%. You said a quote which I appreciate, which I like. You say using fitness to refocus balance and tame the mind is major key. I can and will exercise regularly for better mental health and emotional well-being. That's a quote that you put on one of your
Hmm.
Instagram pages, and I like what you said. I like what you said. Fitness clears the mind. Fitness is a de-stressor. There's so many benefits in addition to just the physique and how you look. And I was
Hmm.
joking with you earlier that I see your traps, your traps showing as someone, So, but in addition to the appearance, it's good for the mind. It's good
It
for
is,
the inside. It's good. There's so many benefits of fitness. Would you agree?
for sure. Yeah, I mean, look, we are now at the stage in life, sort of rounding that midlife point where
Yes.
we all go through challenges. Right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more illness in the family, death in the family. It's just a part of, life. It's aging. It's, we are, human, and we know that, not everything that we have is a gift. But with that
Yeah.
gift does come hardship, right? And so
Yes.
there are times in our lives, like my father passed, that really,
Sorry to hear that.
emotionally, thank you, emotionally and just overall from a perspective of how heavy something like that can be. And believe me, like we will all go through something of that nature. There needs to be outlets, right? That outlet for me being fitness, I still love to draw and paint and like really keep the sketchbook, right? Finding those avenues for me to have an outlet is critically important. I'm not a
Yes.
fan of, I definitely think, therapies are going to help. I'm not a fan of medication. I really think that food is medicine. I do think that
Mm-hmm.
fitness, health, and wellness is really medicine. Movement is medicine. So I really leaned on that, right? I really leaned on, getting the body tired to help my mind feel at ease. And it's consistent, struggle in terms of like, I don't want to say struggle. I would say just, we know things are certain, right? That, people are going to age. Our family and loved ones are going to get older.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be able to find the right tools that'll help you and aid you in keeping yourself healthy, right? And so, as I was telling you earlier, like I've been really working in healthcare now for over 15 years. And I predominantly work with the frail elderly population. And one of the things I tell folks our age is like, you have to get started on a fitness journey because once
Yes.
you get into your 50s, 55, 60, it is infinitely harder. And starting a fitness routine like in your 40s is not impossible. It's still achievable. I mean, it's achievable at 50 and 60, but everything gets harder. And we know that. We can recognize that as we get older. But yes, fitness, movement, food, all medicine, and getting into a good routine is the key to longevity.
I agree. I agree. Well said. I want to ask you one final question before I ask you how, if you want, how individuals can contact you.
Sure.
The question I want to ask you is, with you being as involved in fitness and doing the excursions that we just recently spoke about, is a plant-based diet suffice? Does that suffice in the activities that you're doing?
Yeah. So, I got into plant-based eating as a result of my father getting sick and going
Okay.
through his chemotherapy. And so did it predominantly with him. Will tell you that shortly after going through, I thought I was only going to do it for a month. The month turned to two. I felt great. Um, he continued to eat meat. I saw so many benefits, from better sleep, lack of inflammation. I was already working out. I was able to recover faster. So I thought I
Mhm.
was going to just kind of keep it as like a 90-day challenge, and it,
Okay.
it it impacted me in a way, physically, spiritually, mentally, that I felt clarity. I
Mm-hmm.
explain it. I just felt clean. I felt, energized. I felt bright from a
Mm-hmm.
sort of overall perspective. And so I did my research. And I would say that a vegan diet is not necessarily a healthy diet.
Okay.
So for everybody out there listening in, I mean, vegan is tend to turn to bread and rice and pasta and a lot of carbohydrates. So
Mm-hmm.
from that perspective, you have to learn and do your work. Just like anything else, you have to put your
Mm-hmm.
research in. I could say that I consulted my primary care doctor. I got my blood work done shortly after. I would say 6 months into eating plant based, and recognized that I needed B12. I had to get a supplement for that, like vitamin
Mm-hmm.
D, which is common, right? Those are
Yeah, there's
common vitamin that people need
deficiencies.
to take.
Yeah.
Exactly. But then I just learned, how to get my protein. Right, I use it's called Veg Nutrition. Highly recommended. Super clean plant protein,
Mm-hmm.
plant creatine with a bunch of like nootropic mushrooms that are really helpful to me. But they have a turmeric daily vitamin, a B12, blue green algae daily vitamin. Like so, I did a lot of the work to kind of understand what my body needed by way of fuel. I would tell you that when I did the half Ironman, that science didn't necessarily equate to success. So you learn, right? The reason that it didn't equate to success is because the nutrients that I was taking in during the race, I was training with those nutrients, but that day of the race, the intensity of it, plus
Mm-hmm.
maybe the combo of how I was, how quickly I was ingesting the carbohydrates, it's that heavy in my stomach. So I
Mm-hmm.
finished the race, but it really bothered my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn, right? These are the things that you
Sure.
just have to play with, very much like any or folk that eat flesh. Like I, that's not me. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
learned my sort of the science behind how to use plants in my favor to really help me recover, help me perform, and so far so good. I mean, I've now been plant based for over 6 years,
Oh, nice.
and
Nice.
although things do sneak in, like butter, cheese, sometimes like broths and soups. I'll have fish, and where I'm not allergic to most things,
Okay.
so I don't necessarily go nuts if that happens. But if it's up to me, if it's my choice, then yes, I am going to stick to the plants and leave the little animals alone.
Sounds good. That sounds good. Adrian, I really appreciate you being on the podcast. Before I
Anytime.
go, definitely before you go, I'd like for you to is there any way that anyone can contact you if they had any
Sure.
questions or just some motivation?
Yeah, man. I'm on Instagram at Ace Ochoa. On Instagram, I mean, you can reach me there. That's usually the platform that I'm posting on. I do the Facebook
Okay.
thing. It's just Adrian Ochoa. But yeah, I mean, stay tuned. Besides fitness, I love to draw and paint. So you could follow me there. I've got the Art of Ace Ochoa page as well.
Nice.
So it's a little combination, man. You're keep it interesting, keep yourself busy. With the two kids and the wife and the work, there's always time. So that's the last thing I'll tell people, right? You always feel like you don't have enough time, but you just got to get into your routine, right? If it says wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go and do your workout then, and go to bed at 8:30, then go ahead and do it. But you'll be surprised. You have more time than you think.
I like that. I like that. So with that said, I want to end this episode. Once again, Adrian, I really appreciate it. I
Anytime, Lamar.
you some good info. I think the viewers will appreciate it. Take care,
Excellent.
and down the road we'll do a project. I'll go to your gym or
Absolutely.
vice versa, and we'll go
We
train
will
one
work
day.
out for sure, man. All the best to you.
Perfect.